In our last lesson, we talked about all the different parts of a sewing machine. So now that we know all of that, we are ready to thread the sewing machine. So let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna need to do is plug in your foot pedal and your power cord, and then turn on the machine. Then you can put your foot pedal in a comfortable spot underneath your table where you're working. Grab your spool of thread, remove the spool pin cap, put your spool onto the spool pin, and then put the cap on right after that to make sure the spool doesn't go flying. I like to leave a little bit of space so it can move around. So then we're going to pass it under the first thread guide. We're going to wrap it around our bobbin winder tension disc. I wanted to show that step again a little slower. So I'm coming under a thread guide here for the bobbin winder. I'm coming around this little knob on top and making sure there's some tension there. And then we're going to pull this over in the direction of the actual bobbin winder. And because I want to be extra crystal clear about how to thread, I'm going to show you with a different thread color and repeat those same steps. So I'm going to get hooked on that first thread guide, my second thread guide here, and then I'm going under this hook and around this knob to get ready to wind my bobbin. If I wasn't winding the bobbin, I would skip putting it underneath the little hook and around that little circular winder. Most machines have diagrams for how to thread, so if yours is different than mine, follow those diagrams instead. Trim your thread and grab a bobbin. On your bobbin, there is a little hole, and you need to feed the thread through this little hole, just a couple inches, just a little bit of thread popping out, and then place your bobbin and that thread onto the bobbin winder, and it will snap into place, and then push it over so that it snaps again, and then it's ready. Your machine now knows it's time to wind the bobbin. So I like to give it a couple little twirls around, trim off the excess, and then push my foot pedal down and just let it go. My machine will stop winding when my bobbin is full. It can tell, but if not, just stop when your bobbin is looking nice and good. If you notice any bumpy or lumpy areas, just go back and make sure that your bobbin tension disc is wound correctly. So now you can remove it, remove our bobbin, trim the thread, and now we're able to open up our little drop-in bobbin section, remove that plastic. For my bobbin, it wants it to be in a certain direction, the thread. I'm supposed to be making somewhat of a P shape instead of a Q shape with the thread coming down. So my thread is winding counterclockwise, and that is how my machine wants it. Yours might be different. So I pop mine in like so, and then I will replace the plastic cover once again. I want to show you how to swap out the needle. I'm using a penny because I've lost the little tool that my machine came with, but this works just fine. So I'm twisting the screw towards myself, and I'm going to be putting in a new needle. I would recommend using a universal needle because it'll work with most of the fabrics. I'm putting in a stretch needle at the moment. One side is flat and the other side is rounded. You want the flat side to go towards the back. And then you're able to use your tool again to twist that screw away from you to tighten the needle into place. Now we're ready to thread. So we're going to take the thread from the spool, pass it under our first thread guide here, make sure that it's connected. Then we're going to pass it under another thread guide, and then we're going to come and bring it into this right track, down and around, making a U-turn. And now we want to make sure our thread gets connected with our take-up lever. So we're going to use our hand wheel to roll that so that the take-up lever comes to its highest position. So here I am, I'm using my hand wheel, and there's the take-up lever, and then I'm going to bring my thread around and make sure it hooks onto this. And then you can bring it back down Then you can take the thread and thread it through the next thread guide right above the needle. Again, these are just to make sure that the thread stays nice in tension and doesn't get tangled. And now we're ready to thread the needle, which can be extremely frustrating if you have bad eyes like me, and I hope not for you. So hopefully this is an easy process, threading the needle through the little eye. And now that we have that threaded, let's lift our presser foot, slide the thread underneath, and then we're going to roll the needle down with our hand wheel and pull on the thread, and it's going to catch the bobbin thread that's underneath. Then use a tool of some kind to grab the bobbin thread and pull it up and out. So now you'll have two threads, your top thread and your bobbin thread. Now that the machine is threaded, you can play around with different settings like the tension. It's always a good idea to do a practice sew and see if the tension is looking good or make adjustments as necessary. This is our speed control, so no matter how hard you press the foot pedal, it controls how fast the machine can sew. These are how we choose our stitches. This is how I choose my stitch length, and then I can choose my stitch width too, which is the one below. It's important to note that when you change this type of stitch, you might also need to change the presser foot. So if I go to number 26, it tells me it wants a different foot on the machine, and it might not even sew if I don't put it on. Last is our hand wheel, so I roll it towards myself so that I can do precise movements for the needle, so I can raise it to its highest position, or to raise the take up lever to its highest position, since those are both connected to each other. Now you're all threaded up and ready to sew. I hope you found that really quick and easy. I'll see you in our next lesson.